I am Vinnie Tortorich. Folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, guaranteed. We're going to give you what you need. That's right. That's right. Folks, this is the Wednesday show. You know what that means. He comes in every Wednesday, whether we want him to or not. I'm talking about the wonderful Mr. Chris Shaffer. Yeah. How's it going,
I'm going
man?
to take that as a downgrade. A couple weeks ago, I was voluptuous. Now I'm just wonderful. I wasn't voluptuous.
I was missing Anna on that day.
Yeah.
I guess. Anna, who knows? Who knows with me? By the way, I don't know when this show is coming out because we're doing these shows at wonky times. It's the fall and there's a lot of all kinds of stuff going on. But I did something on the Monday show with Anna last night. Is this show coming out in 2 weeks or this coming week, Chris? Do you know? We don't know, right?
I think 2 weeks because we did another show earlier this week.
Okay.
Hey guys, just so you know, in case you weren't aware, this is not live. You are listening to this whenever you feel like it.
Yeah. Well, Anna and I did something on the Monday show I haven't done in a long time, but we're a couple of weeks ahead on that show too. You've probably never heard this, but we used to do a bit called Stripper or NFL. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, where you take an NFL name or a name and try to figure out if they're a stripper name or it's an NFL player.
Usually it's a drug or a body part, like perineum, right? Is that a stripper's name or a defensive back in NFL? And I stopped doing it for a few years because we had done it for so long. I felt like it had kind of run its course. But the other night I was watching one of my favorite players, Juju Smith-Schuster, and I went,
ooh,
God, these names. These names, they got the coolest names in the world. Nowhere else in the world would people with Juju Smith-Schuster. Where does that come from? So I decided to bring it back. And so, folks, pay attention. Listen, that's coming up on a Monday show if you want to hear Stripper or NFL. All right. Sometimes we used to call it NFL or Stripper. Yes.
Look at you plugging your own show in advance.
I know. But look, people. I do the consultations, Chris. Right? People call me and they talk to me. One of the things they'll say, usually the consultation is, I stopped losing weight. I need to start losing weight again. Or I've lost 150 pounds. Now I want to put on some muscle. Or I have cancer and I just learned this and I don't know what to do. I get every kind of phone call you can imagine. But no matter whether it's a cancer phone call or, I need to lose more weight or I want to put more muscle, whatever it is, I'm going to run a marathon. That's another big one I get. At the end, they'll go, hey, man, when are you going to bring back Stripper or NFL? And I'm like, I don't know. So I got a wild hair up my butt the other night and decided to bring it back. By the way, Chris, I asked you to figure out because the button to write to me kind of went away from the VinnieTortorich.com website. Is it back up there yet? Or did we figure out how it's going to be back where people can find it versus it being hidden?
VinnieTortorich.com/consults. And then once you and I jump off here, we need to look at a few different things to let people know about. So they have a big, giant pop-up in their face, Vinnie. Yeah. So there's no way that they can miss it.
Yeah, people are like, hey, I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, well, you go to the site and it's written there at the top. It's really tiny. It used to be really like a big thing. So we're going to make it a big thing again so that people can find it. All right, enough about that, Chris. What are we talking about today?
So, Vinnie, if I say the word functional foods, I guess those are 2 words. Other than the shudder that gives you, what does that bring to mind? And what are your thoughts on functional foods as a group, we should say?
Well, I don't really know what functional food even means. I mean, it sounds like another one of those industry words that's come around. Like when people, and they're still doing this. 20 years ago, I literally lost my mind. I was up skiing at Mammoth, And my buddy Jonathan goes, "Hey man, I know this bartender. He's a really cool bartender. He's a good skier. He's coming over tonight and we're going to ski with him tomorrow." Right. I was like, all right. So the guy comes over. First thing, he walks in, he is just wafting of marijuana. Right. Just the big, the big waft that he smoked on the way in the house. It's still like Pigpen, right? You can see the waft around him. And we're talking for about 5 or 10 minutes. And he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "So what do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I have a vitamin company and this kind of thing." He goes, "Dude, all right, I sell this stuff. You're not going to believe this stuff is so good. It doesn't work like any other vitamins. It works on the cellular level." And I just lost my shit. I had heard that too many times in the cell. I went, "Do you even know what that means?"
Vinny, how do regular vitamins work? Do they work at the organ level?
Right.
Do they work?
And I told him, I said, "You mean like water? Water works on a cellular level. It gets into the cells of your body. What does this industry term? All of a sudden, everything was, no, dude, you don't understand. It works on." And I said to him, I said, "No offense, but you came in here smelling like marijuana and you sling drinks at night, but you want to tell me about some multi-level marketing bullshit that you're selling?" It literally, he showed me one of them. It came in like a little plastic thing, and you're supposed to drink it, and it had manganese in it, and it had this and that, and it's full of sugar, but it's like a little 5-hour energy shot looking bottle, little tiny thing. And I was like, hang on. You're going to come in here wafting and you're going to tell me about the cellular level. And, the best thing you figured out in life is to be a bartender. But somehow now you have all the answers to health and fitness. And it's in that stupid bottle. Really? That's what I'm supposed to believe? Because I ain't picking up what you're putting down yet, broski. Anyway, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, Chris. What were you talking about again?
Functional food.
Functional food.
So, before we get back to that, Vinny, you brought up MLM supplement things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was walking down the street, and I should have taken a picture of it for you the other day. Here in town, in good old Mexico, there is an Herbalife cafe.
Do you know I met the guy who started Herbalife?
I do not.
I was hired as his trainer. He lived in Bel Air. So that's richer than Malibu and Beverly Hills. Bel Air is like the next level. Right. If you got one of those mansions. And they hired me to get him in shape. Apparently he was a horrible drug addict or, whatever. So I showed up the first day. The pearly gates opened. I went inside the pearly gates. And someone came and said, came out to the car and said, "What do you charge?" And, I told him what I charged. And he handed me cash for that amount of money. And he said, "Thank you. Can you come back when's the next appointment?" I said, "Day after tomorrow. Can you come back?" "Sure can." The pearly gates open. Same thing happened like 3 times. And
I didn't catch you saying the pearly gates the first time.
Yeah.
You go from Bel Air to heaven? What happened?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, all these people live behind
St. Peter
big giant
gates,
right? So after like the 3rd or 4th time, it might have been 4. So I've made like over $1,000 now, right? And the guy comes again and he pays me and he says, "Yeah, we won't be needing your services anymore." It's like, okay, but you haven't used my services once, but thanks for the money grab. I don't know what else to tell you, but apparently that guy had some troubles and some problems and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was he became a multi-bazillionaire off of multi-level marketing. And Chris, as you know, now I'm going off on another tangent here. We've had people come into my company going, "You have an incredible product. We can set you up as a multi-level marketing company and you can go straight to the moon, Alice, straight to the moon. You can make bazillions."
You brought up MLMs. and I'm
Right.
gonna have to find the name of the guy. But one of the first MLMs back in the 50s sold fruit scented makeup stuff.
Right.
And there's a recording somewhere of one of the recruiters for this company being challenged by, a new recruit saying, "Hey, isn't this just a pyramid scheme? Because you have, the vendors and then the super vendors and then the manager super vendors and whatever else." And the guy's response was, "You know who else operated under this kind of structure? Jesus. He had 12 master distributors that went out and spread Christianity all over the world. Our company's no different." Like, okay, now we're just calling on Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just nuts, and by the way, Chris, explain, I want to say the guy's name was it Mark or something? It was Mark, the one
Mark
for
Hughes.
Herbalife. Mark Hughes. Yeah, that was the guy. What happened to him? Herbalife. Let me see if I can find Mark Hughes. Hang on. Born in
Died in
1956.
2000.
Died in 2000. Did he had problems, right? He had some kind of drug problems or something, or
Find
do
out.
we know? Never met the man in person, but I went to his house like 4 or 5 times.
He died from a large amount of alcohol and doxepin.
Yeah, so I wasn't speaking out of turn by saying that. I mean, the third time I asked the guy, I said, "What gives?" And he gave me the this sign, and I was like, "Okay." And this was like 8 o'clock in the morning, right? And I'm holding up my finger like the thumb going in the mouth, the drink sign. But yeah, that tracks.
Uh, anyway, functional foods,
Mm-hmm.
Vinny.
Yeah.
What do you think a functional food is just from hearing the term?
I'm going to guess it's a food that somehow causes some kind of ergogenic effect for athleticism of some sort. In other words, let me give you an example. Um, it is said that if you eat raw oysters, you can perform better in the hammock, in the bed. So I would say that in that case, if you want to do some working, you can go ahead and eat a couple of dozen oysters. So I would say oysters for that reason, they would consider not. And by the way, I don't know if there's any truth behind that, folks. Please do not go slop down a bunch of oysters and think that you're going to be as hard as a railroad track rail. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But that's what I would assume they're talking about. Like, what's another one? If you eat red meat, it's got more creatine in it and it's got protein, therefore you will build muscle. Right? Both things are true. So I'm guessing that's what they mean by functional food. You eat sugar and it will give you instant energy that's in your bloodstream so that you can do something for a few minutes. And, functional. Am I anywhere in the ballpark with any of my sugar, my meat, and my oyster?
If the world makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Oh, if the world made sense.
But you and I both know that your good intentions have been stolen, and so have everyone else's, right? By the way, in the questions Vinny asked but didn't ask category, no, there's no actual scientific proof behind oysters, but they are a good dietary source of zinc, which increases production of other things that are necessary for that act. So there's your answer to that. But a functional food, Vinny, and I want you to think back in your brain as to what other term used to be used for this. According to the industry definition, so the food industry, functional food is a food that enhances with added nutrients or bioactive compounds. Things like vitamin fortified juices, probiotic yogurt, protein bars, or omega-3 eggs. What's the word they used to use for that?
Um,
It was in one of those examples.
I'm going to say fortified.
Fortified,
Fortified
right?
with. So So in other words, if you give the audience another example, if you buy yourself some Special K, that was always considered the healthy flake by Kellogg's, right? It was the same thing as a cornflake, except they put on the box special cornflake, right? Special K. That's what that means. It was the same thing. And it would say fortified with 8 vitamins and iron, right? So you would go, ooh, it's got, So you see, cornflake or Special K has no nutritional value whatsoever, like zero. As a matter of fact, this pen on my desk, this rollerball pen, has more nutrition, right, than a flake of corn, right? In order to make it somewhat healthy, or at least get people to think it's healthy, they spray 8 vitamins and some nutrients onto it. Now, when I say they spray it on, that's it. It's just like a sprayer that these chips go through as they're going through the machinery. And you would say to yourself, well, hang on, Vinnie. There are 13 essential vitamins. 13 essential. Now, most people don't know what essential means, Chris. So let me give you a little background. I know you know, because we're in the vitamin business, but some things are considered essential, some things are non-essential. Like the aforementioned creatine. People ask about creatine all the time. Creatine is a good supplement to take. It's one of the most well-studied supplements on the planet, and there's all sorts of benefit. But we don't need to take creatine because, and even if you're a vegan, you don't need to take creatine because, if you're not a vegan, you get it in red meat, you get it in eggs, you get creatine in a lot of places. But it's a non-essential because your body actually makes creatine. So if you don't take it, your body will make it. That's a non-essential, meaning you do not need it to maintain life. Now, if you have extra creatine, well, we know that goes a long way. The 13 essential vitamins means that if you don't take them, your body won't make them, right? So in other words, back in 1865, when Ellen G. White came up with veganism, whole cloth, people think it's been around for gazillions of years with the Indian folk and this and that, meaning the people in India, the Asian country. They were more or less vegetarians who weren't really vegetarians because they still ate eggs. They used dairy, goat dairy, everything else, and they ate chicken and fish and everything else. And they called that vegetarianism. Some of them have a religious belief where the cow is sacred, so they won't eat cow meat. So people just automatically think, well, they're they're cows, and it's like, okay, they eat everything else. I've been there. They will serve you dog and goat and everything else. I'm not making this up. These people will eat anything except a cow. Okay. Vegans could not become vegans back in the mid 1800s because you didn't get all of the vitamins you needed from a vegan diet. So if you practice veganism up until we started discovering vitamins, the first one was called a vitamine through a German doctor, a female German doctor in the 1920s, 10s, 30s. Chris can look it up really fast. And that's when we started coming up with exogenous vitamins. We can now take vitamins in a pill form. Until then, until the late 1960s, early 1970s, veganism had no place for anyone. Could not be done. You would die from missing a lot of folate, a lot of the vitamin Bs, especially B12. You don't get it, you become anemic, and then anything can take you out. Right? I know I'm going off on a tangent here, Chris, but it's for a reason.
It's all relevant.
Right? we need certain vitamins. Now, fortifying stuff. Kellogg's, 8 essential vitamins and iron. Well, who did the Sophie's Choice on that? Because there's 13 essential. There's 5 they left out. And I would love to know which 5 they left out. I used to say that back when I'd see, Saturday morning cartoons. Eat this cereal. It comes with 8 essential vitamins and iron. Okay, what about the other 5? Which ones did we leave out?
I think you're asking a good question, but I don't know that it's the right question, which is why I wanted to have this conversation with you. So, first of all, your first vitamin was discovered, depending on who you ask, Vinny. It's one of those great scientific controversies. Either 1910 by a Japanese researcher or 1912 by a German researcher who came up with the name vitamin, right? So it depends on who you ask, but that was vitamin B1.
And was that a German female doctor, like Gertrude something or something with a G, or Gerstenstein or
No, it's a Polish guy named Casimir.
That's what I meant to say. Okay. All right. So a Western European person he came up with the first vitamin, B1. I'm sure
So he came up with the name, but it was supposedly discovered about 2 years before that by a Japanese.
Okay.
Then a bunch of other people immediately started finding things. And I think you might be thinking of one of the people who found vitamin A a few years later. But the question you just asked, Vinny, is which 5 did they leave out?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about what they left out. And the reason that I started thinking about this week, and I think I told you this in one of our 17 hours of conversation this week, I was watching a YouTube video a couple days ago, and they were talking about this new salt that is fortified with vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone's deficient in vitamin D. You can put 1 pinch of this on top of your food. And I ended up reaching out to the company just to find out what they do, what the process is. But you can put 1 pinch of this salt on there, and you get 100% of your daily vitamin D.
Okay.
You know, because you run a vitamin company, and I know because I run a vitamin company. Vitamin D is not vitamin D is not vitamin D. Am I wrong?
No, there's tons of different kinds of vitamin D. You're correct.
Just like there's tons of different kinds of folate. And as I started diving down this path, I found out in the UK, as of 2026, they're
Mm-hmm.
requiring that all flour is fortified with folate. When you start looking at what they're using for that, not the most bioavailable, right? Because it's not what you're trying to do is get the cheapest bang for your buck there, right?
So let me start with that. Are they using methylfolate or any of the methylfolates, or just the cheapest kind of
Folic acid?
So folic acid. So they're not even using natural methylfolate.
Correct.
Okay. So right there, you got yourself what I would like to call a situation or a problem.
And that's what led me down this rabbit hole. And then I saw this video, and I was like, that's a really cool product, but bioavailable vitamin D would mean that they couldn't put a vegan label on something because it's, as far as I'm aware, not produced by plants.
Right.
So they are not using vitamin D3. They are using vitamin D2 from shiitake mushrooms. We could go into a whole difference into how to break, the difference between vitamin D2 and D3. What your body needs is D3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So getting D2 is not nearly as helpful. Yes, you extract some of the benefit from, but not nearly as much as you would get if they were supplementing it with D, right? So they're fortifying this product, which is the same thing that we've been hearing over and over again. But just like everything else, we've now slapped a different label on it because fortified makes it sound like you did something cheap, but
Right.
functional makes it sound like you're doing the right thing.
So
right? They're
functional is
selling you
taking the
something.
place Is that what they're doing?
Exactly. So if you look at who is calling things functional, it's
Mhm.
not just this company. And I wish no ill will to this company, so I'm not going to name them, right? But they're falling into the same trap or doing it intentionally, but I'm going to assign goodwill to what they're trying to do. That we're seeing with all of the other things, right? And if you go look at Kellogg's, you look at the 8 vitamins and minerals that are included, forgetting about the 5 that they left out,
Right.
all of the 8 are essentially the cheapest version that you can spray on something to meet the legal requirement, right? It's not something that will actually help you
Right.
the way that you think it's going to help you. They're now shifting cereal, Vinny, which they used to call fortified, to being a functional food. Collagen peptides, plant sterols, electrolyte drinks, recovery snacks, all of these
Mm.
things are being marketed as functional because they have added vitamins and minerals, things that you are deficient in, or probiotic. It's something that is going to give you a health boost. And they know that people are on a health kick, right?
Right.
People are looking for better options. And so if we can change that verbiage a little bit, we can make them think that they're doing something right. And it's not to say that D2 doesn't give you any benefit or that folic acid doesn't give you any benefit. But if we truly want to do things the right way, we need to start doing things the right way, right?
Right.
And spraying something onto something, or in this case, using an actual natural process, in the case of this salt company, to supplement something that you're not getting the benefit out of, even though it technically meets the requirements, and then marketing it that way is, in my opinion, actively stealing people's good intention. Am I missing something here?
No, and by the way, one of the ones people would always say, "Oh, you got to drink your milk because it's full of vitamin D." I would always explain to them, they're adding vitamin D to your milk, and they're not adding the best form of vitamin D to your milk, right? And people just, you don't expect people to know this stuff. Before I started purevitaminclub.com, I studied vitamins for years, right? I didn't just wake up one morning and wet my finger and stick it up in the air and see which way the wind was blowing. This is something I'd been taking vitamins since I was a kid, and I got especially interested in them after I almost died of leukemia and started looking at everything I put in my body because I was always thinking I was doing the healthiest thing you could possibly do. And I've talked about this before. The first thing I looked at, and you got to remember that the Google machine wasn't what it is today when I started looking into this stuff, right? I looked at titanium dioxide. I was like, titanium, is that the same stuff you put on your nose when you go to the beach so you don't get a sunburn? Turns out,
Titanium oxide. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's pretty close to the same thing. So I was like, why is it in there? Why is it in there? And you couldn't get an answer because there was no AI. There was no Google was a thing, but not really. And I had to go
Right.
study.
You didn't have Chris to look it up for you. So it didn't
Yeah,
work.
I wasn't able to call Chris and go, Chris, I need to know what's going on here. No, I used to have to do this myself, folks. I had to run this company by hand before I had Chris. So, like titanium, and then I found an article that said that even in nanoparticles, which is in your vitamins, titanium dioxide will cause colon cancer. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm taking this stuff to make myself healthy. And here it is. It can cause one of the worst cancers you can possibly get, colon cancer. Another one I looked up was magnesium stearate. You see, because I was looking up everything. So I was like, magnesium stearate, is that a good form of magnesium? Because I know about, picolinate, I know about taurate, I know about glycinate, I know about all these other ones, carbonate, citrate, but stearate, well, why is that in there? And it's in there, as you know, Chris, because we do this now, but for the rest of the audience, it's used as an excipient, a flow agent, so that the supplement can flow into the capsule easier. Here's the problem with that.
Vinny, hold on.
Go
How
on.
have I never made this connection before? You know that the different forms of magnesium have different effects on your body, and some of them
Yeah, something make
make
you
you run to
crap
the
your pants.
bathroom.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm just making it, it's a flow agent in
More
more than one
ways
way.
than one. But magnesium stearate is not just in magnesium. They put that in everything. I was like, why is it in there? And as it turns out, it literally blocks the absorption of whatever you're trying to take. So you're taking the vitamins, you want it to be absorbed. You ever notice when, and now this sounds like an ad, but I don't mean this to sound this way. You ever notice, Chris, back in the day, I would take vitamins and then my pee would be like a fluorescent orange or green or whatever. It's like,
Yeah, like it looked like Gatorade coming back out.
yeah, and doctors would go, yeah, vitamins gives you the most expensive pee in the world. Notice when you take my multivitamin, it'll change the color a little bit, but not a lot because it's all being absorbed into your bloodstream because there's no magnesium stearate just to shove it off into your bladder through your kidney. It actually gets absorbed, right? That's the difference, right? And I remember this blew this blew my mind. You know, whenever people write to me, go, "Hey man, do you use folate for your vitamin?" Yes, we do. We use the good stuff. We don't use the others. The first time when I was studying vitamins before I made one vitamin, it was like B12. Like, yeah, everyone thinks of B12, gives you energy, which it doesn't, folks. We haven't talked about vitamins like this in a long time, so I'm glad I'm doing it. I'll talk about the energy aspect of vitamin B12 in just a minute. But Chris, as you know, it comes in several forms. The most common forms that you will get it in your vitamin is something called cyanocobalamin. And I remember the first time I read the word cyanocobalamin, I kept looking at the word going, oh, that's cute. It's just the first part of the word spelled just like cyanide. So,
Or cyan, like the color.
yeah.
Cyan.
So I'm like, cyanide. So I went and looked it up. The way they do it is they hook it to a cyanide molecule. So when you take a cheap B12, you're literally getting a small amount of cyanide in your body. Not enough to kill you, but why would you do that? Why would you take any cyanide in your body when there's a better method out there, Chris? You look like you're chomping.
I'm just laughing because what other compound would we say that about? And I think the other day you were using the example, I think it was on the VIP call. You were like, if I gave you a cup of liquid plutonium,
I think I said spent uranium, but yeah, same
yeah,
thing.
whatever, like, and sprinkled some protein powder in it, would you drink it?
Yeah,
Right? And it's like, oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay to take that because you'd have to take a lot of it for the cyanide to be a problem.
right.
Like, or just don't take that version of it.
Yeah,
Right? And
there's
I
a better
understand
version. Yeah.
there's a place in the world for all of these things, right? Like, if you can't afford anything else for some reason, I would argue it's probably better than not taking it if you're B12 deficient.
Right.
But there's also other natural ways to get B12. It's mind-boggling that that's the argument. They're like, yeah, it's fine. It's just a little bit of death.
Yeah, not enough to hurt you. But here, and that's why I've always said I will never have an actual bean counter running my company, right? Whenever you think about putting a CEO in place, you get bean counters, and the first thing they do, I mean, look what happened to my buddy Mark Sisson. He sold Primal to a big company. What was the first thing they did to the Primal products? They changed, put seed oils in them, put all kinds of crap. It's not what Mark Sisson had in mind when he created the company, right? So people always go, when are you going to sell your companies? And it's like, I can't. I have to die with these companies because as soon as I sell them to Bayer or any of the bigger companies out there, buy vitamin companies, a bean counter is going to come in and go, cyanocobalamin, magnesium stearate, time is money. We got to get these vitamins made. It is going to go to shit.
Cyanide is the least of the things that Bayer doesn't have a problem with.
Right.
If you look into the history of that company.
Right.
And I think the overall lesson here is just because something says that it's functional doesn't mean that it is. And I do want to give a little bit of kudos to this company that inspired this whole thing. And I want to read you what they wrote to me and get your reaction. Because every place that I'm seeing this marketed, not by them, but by other people who have found the product, is this will cure your vitamin D problem. Right?
Okay. Is this the salt
need,
vitamin D company?
Yes.
Okay.
You need 2 to 3 times the amount of D2 to be roughly equivalent of D3. So if we're getting 100% in that dose, right, it's really 20, 30% of what we would need to start seeing a difference in the vitamin D levels in blood, right? But every place I'm seeing this promoted by anyone else who has found this is that this is amazing. And I want to read you the line from the email because it's a little moment of redemption. The guy said, the main thing I would say is this product is not meant to be a vitamin D supplement. It's designed to be a great finishing salt, which has a slight added benefit. I think it's the key to better health. If there were more products in the home that could be slightly improved, we'd be a much healthier society. So he's literally saying, don't take this as a vitamin D thing, right? We shouldn't be marketing it that way. And then every place you see people talking about it, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere else,
right,
they pick up the mantle because it's a functional food and they don't know the difference.
right.
The company understands the difference. Kellogg's knows that the B12 that they're spraying or the folic acid that they're spraying is not the form that you need.
Right.
Whether this company knows the difference between D2 and D3 is neither here nor there. They're just saying it's a nice little added benefit, right? It's a little salt at the end of the dish, if you will.
Right.
To help get you back up there. But intentions immediately get stolen because their intention is to give people that functional. But that's not the way anyone else is using that terminology. Does that make sense? It shouldn't be mind-boggling to me at this point, but it is.
Yeah, we've seen that over and over. The other example I always use is when, my friends, when I was a kid, everyone used to smoke. And of course, I was a health nut, so I didn't. But they would always go, I changed from the filterless to a filter. It's like, okay, you haven't done anything. You're still getting all of this chemical and tar onto your alveoli, and that's not going to be good for you. Scoring up your lungs, not good.
You lost me at villi.
Alveoli, it's where, never mind. The alveoli is where the oxygen mixes with the blood in order to, never mind. So you get what I'm saying, right? It's like you can't take something unhealthy, add something to it, and it automatically becomes healthy. Now, my example of you take spent uranium and you put, and you can't drink it. Well, it's going to be hard to drink spent uranium anyway because it's pretty hard. It's like a diamond type hard or harder. No, diamond's the hardest. I don't know. We can figure.
I don't know many people that would be trying to cut things with uranium.
Yeah. It might not be a good idea.
But I think the main takeaway that I have from is, again, it's another label game that people are playing.
Yeah.
And even when companies are trying to do the right thing, because everyone else has so bastardized the term already, the mantle immediately gets picked up and waved around as this is the cure to all your ills, right? Now, in this case, they are actually adding something where it wouldn't otherwise be. In the vast majority of these things, they're stripping it all out and then adding in a worse form, right?
Yeah.
So your milks, your grains, all of those kinds of things. Omega-3 eggs, right?
Yeah.
Vinnie, what is the egg?
It's an embryo. It's an embryo that makes a chicken. If we're talking about chicken eggs, because there's other kind of eggs. You get yourself a duck egg, snakes.
Is it also the most perfect form of food on the planet?
Well, when it comes to having every amino acid that you need to form a life, that would be true. There's a certain amount of good fats in there to go with all that protein. So I would say it's pretty much the perfect food. Now, I went to Dr. Michael Greger's site and he said, no way. He said, eggs are really, really bad for you. What an idiot.
1 egg a day will give you diabetes, or 1 egg a week.
No, he said, no, Chris, don't misquote the good doctor. He said 1 egg per week can cause type 2 diabetes. I kid you not. I kid
So
you.
I was giving him more benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Michael Greger said, and look, you could go to whatever his stupid site is, something.org, and look him up. And it was right there at the front. 1 egg per week. It's like smoking cigarettes, according to him.
December 9th, 2013. 1 egg a week increases the risk of diabetes, the leading cause of lower limb amputations, kidney failure, and blindness. Okay. Side note. I understand that the M dash in that sentence means that diabetes is the cause of that.
Right.
Right. The way that that reads is that eggs are the leading cause of lower limb amputations, kidney failure, and new cases of blindness.
And they do that on
the
purpose.
intention behind it.
Yeah, they do it on purpose. And the bottom line is, I've had 5 or 6 eggs today. I can't remember. I had between 4 and 6 eggs every day this week. I've had between 4 and 6 eggs every day this year, last year, the year before that, going all the way back to high school, 4 to 6 eggs a day. Now, listen, folks, there's been a day or two in there. I might have had some flapjacks, some, French toast, what have you. Okay. But by and large, between 4 and 6 eggs my entire life. My legs look pretty good. They don't look like they're going to fall off any day soon. My A1Cs are 4.7 or 4.8 every time I've ever had them checked. My triglycerides are always somewhere between 35 and 45. My blood sugar, I get I get that dawn effect that people talk about. I wake up, I'm somewhere around 95 to 102. But I don't understand how I can have so many eggs every day and not have any type 2 diabetes symptoms. I've never taken a GLP-1, a semaglutide, or anything else that would artificially lower that number. Zero my entire life. So how is it that, and by the way, my genetics are not great. Hell, I almost died of cancer. I am not superhuman at all. So how is it that I'm getting away with that? Yet this guy is saying, oh, no, you have 1 of these a week, 52 of them a year. Chris, do the math for me. In 10 weeks, I have more than 52. In 9 weeks of egg eating per year, I have more than what he says we should have the entire year.
I think your math is off on that. You said 5 to 6 a day, right?
Yeah, between 4 and 6. So let's call the average 5. So every 10 weeks, I have around 50 eggs, right? No, wait.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. That's right. Yeah, I'm doing weeks. Yeah, I have that many a day. So every 2 weeks, I have what he's saying is bad to have within a year. Why am I not dead? How am I still here? How? I don't get it.
Well, you say that a little snarkily because you know the answer, right? The answer is it was an observational correlative, good Lord, that's a hard word to say, study, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look at it. They didn't look at anything in isolation.
Mm-hmm.
They just looked at number of eggs consumed and cases of diabetes. They didn't look at any of the other foods that were also consumed. When you do that, randomized trials where diet is controlled show no correlation between blood sugar control with people, for people who have diabetes and for people who don't have diabetes. In fact, more trials suggest eggs may even improve satiety, HDL, and all other markers of metabolic health. Right? So
But you have Dr. Greger out there saying exactly the opposite. And by the way, there was another vegan kook doctor who died about 2 years ago, Dr. McDougall, who literally said you can lower your incidence of type 2 diabetes by eating white rice, bowls of it every day, and just eating straight sugar. I wish I was making that up, Chris. You can go find video of the man saying it into a microphone on camera.
didn't that just come back as a diet fad? I feel like we talked about that a few weeks
Oh
ago.
yeah. Oh
The sugar
yeah.
diet.
The snake diet guy was going, oh yeah, eat all the sugar you want. Come on. These folks, you got to stop listening to these charlatans. I don't have a horse in a race. I don't get one dime from big fat or big butter or big meat or any of the bigs. I don't get one dime. I don't have a horse in this race. I don't have skin in this game. I decided to come on the internet to be the only person that's telling the truth all the time. That's been my thing from day one. Here's the truth. I don't care if it hurts your feelings. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. I don't care if, this, that, and the other thing. Here's the truth. You want to lose weight, do this. Period. When you're me and you've been working with people for 40-something years. Chris, if you take 1982 and bring it up to the current date, what is that, 43 years? Something like that? 43. I mean, I'm only 63. Most, 2/3 of my life, I've been doing one thing. And I was doing it before that, before I got a degree and started. I have no reason to lie. You want to get healthy? Go get my PDF. You don't even have to give me a phone call, Chris. They can find it. We're going to have a thing for the PDF up there, right, Chris? All right. Go to VinnieTortorich.com. Check this all out. Chris, we got another show to do, so I don't want to belabor this point. So whatever you have there, we'll save for the next show.
Sounds good.
Folks, we mentioned you want to get there quicker. You could do a consult. If you want to get there a little slower, go get the Vinnie Tortorich ebook over at VinnieTortorich.com. It's the NSNG ebook, the PDF that saved a bunch of lives. Pure Vitamin Club, go there. You'll see the coffee on the same website. Chris, yeah?
Vinny, you mentioned something a minute ago. You said, I determined that I was going to tell the truth no matter what. You said something a couple minutes ago that I wanted to bring back up because you just mentioned it.
All right.
You said you don't need vitamins to be healthy.
That's correct. I own a vitamin.
And yet you run a vitamin company over at purevitaminclub.com.
That's correct.
Okay. I wanted to clarify.
Chris, can I correct my statement? You don't need exogenous vitamins, meaning you don't need vitamin pills. We do need vitamins to be healthy. You could get it from food. But if you're looking for ultimate health and you want to take it one step further, do what I do. Take vitamins. Right? I even take vitamins my company doesn't make. Tocotrienol. We might get around to it one day. Tocotrienol is the best. Yeah, for now. Tocotrienol is the best form of vitamin E. E is in Eddie. Right? I take that every day. It's good for your heart. It's good for so many functions in your body. Yes, it's in my multivitamin. I take it on top of that. Right? I take olive oil every day. I take coconut oil every day. I don't make either one of those products. I'm not saying you have to take vitamins to be healthy. Think about what I'm saying there. I own a vitamin company. This podcast is free. The only way I can pay for my house, my car, my beautiful wife, everything I have is by selling you guys a vitamin. And I'm telling you, you do not need my product to be healthy. What the fuck is wrong with me?
The weirdest ad of all time.
Yeah, it's not an ad. It's just the truth. That's what I said. I'm going to turn on this mic and I'm going to tell the truth every single time. And that's all I'm going to do. Go check out everything we're doing. Before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com, click through the banner. It puts coal on the fire, gets my train down the track. On behalf of Chris Shaffer, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living.